We're going to continue changing some colors, and this time look more at the background colors. So the easiest colors to figure out should be, oops, where'd it go? The different sections. So if you pull out to where your selector tool covers the whole thing, that's a good hint that that's where the color is. And it's a very subtle gray in this case. So we can see it's on the section that has the ID name of portfolio. And if we go down to another one, so the amazing team one, so section with the ID name of team also uses that color. And the idea generally is that they alternate. So you have the white background sections and the colored background sections. So the white background sections, it's not described in the section name. So let's look at first how to change these. So here's the portfolio section. And where did it go? Page section, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, there it is, BG light. So here we see the background color. If we turn it off, it goes to white. So it's using this BG light for those alternate color sections. That way we can assign that in the HTML. And let me show you just how that's assigned. See if I can find it. The first one is the portfolio. Here we go. So here's the portfolio grid in the HTML file. It's a section. Use the HTML section tag. And the classes, there's several classes. There's a page section class, and here's the BG light class. So you don't do a comma, you just do a space for multiple classes. So that's why it takes on that color. And that's pretty useful to have a class that every time you want to use that color, you just assign that instead of doing it by name, which would be the ID portfolio. So if we go to our styles, let's go back here so we can copy it. So the BG light style, and go to our style sheet, and I'll just put it here. So it's using a variable for background opacity, which has already been set. So we don't need to change that. And here we were faced with that RGBA color, which allows for opacity change, the transparency change, and its opacity. And we see that it's setting it here. So it's kind of weirdly redundant. And we learned from before that we need to keep that important thing on here because this is making an exception to something that's already there. So let's look for a color, and this will probably not necessarily be the best color, but let's try it. So there's a cashew nut that we have. Let's try that color. And so I'll use this instead of an RGBA. So let's see if that does what we need. Okay, so there's our color. And the color as we had it in our color palette, it looked much lighter, and when you put it in the context next to the white, it makes it look really dark. So you may find that you need to do some adjustments, but just that one style applied it to both of these alternate sections here, which is pretty useful. And it looks like that border might be a RGBA thing with some transparency, so it takes on the color of whatever its background is. So I think that actually works okay with the section there. These photos are not the best with this, but I think it's okay if I change the photos. Okay, so that's fairly simple, but let's see the body background color here, the white section, how that's assigned here. So we have the background color assigned by variable, but if we turn that off, it's going to be a default white anyway, right? I mean, if you turn off all of them, they're all going to be white. So let's go into this style that we already have on line 28 and put in a color there to see what we have, just to make sure we know where it's applying. I'll take this. I don't know what it is, but I think it's a light color. And where's the, oh yeah, it's at the top because it's the body. Background color. So replace that variable declaration. Make sure I have a hashtag in there. Save it and refresh. Oh boy. Okay, I hate the way that looks, but it does show where it's active. So up here at the top, down here, so anywhere that was white, that becomes the new color, including the footer. So maybe that might be okay in the footer, but definitely not in these body places. So I'm going to look at that color. Oops, come on. Let's do the picker. And I know it's just way too dark. So if I kind of like the idea of that color, just not so strong, I can use this color picker to help me pick another version of it that's out here more. So just barely off-white. That looks better. Much better. Okay, so that lets me test out the color, still the same hue, but just a much lighter version of it. So I'm going to copy this and put that on the body instead. So sometimes when I'm going back and forth between colors, I'll use a comment to help me preserve what's maybe there already, because I actually want this color. I mentioned I like what it was doing in the footer, so let's copy it from the footer instead of just overwriting it. So we don't have the declaration here. I could just type it out, but I'll go ahead and grab the whole line to make this easy. So background color is not specified in the footer, but we can put it there. And the color here, I'll take it out of there and put it in the comment so I can kind of stack up colors that I'm experimenting with and put in the new color there. And there it is, part of the design, and that allows me to still have the very saturated footer version down here. Okay, so that addresses those main color blocks. This one, that's one that we need to do too. So the navigation bar up at the top. So there's actually two versions of the navigation bar. So when we're at the very top of the page, it looks like it's transparent. I turn this off so we can see. And then when we scroll down, it becomes this color and it kind of shrinks. Okay, they call that nav bar shrink. So if we want the color at the beginning, so here we are at the non-shrunken version, so that my selected area covers the whole thing, so I know it's the right thing. So we have our main nav, and it shows background color transparent. That's at this larger size. I wonder if that's going to cause a problem. So the app media rules trigger. So here we see the regular main nav, but when we're at this size at 992, let me see what happens when we. Oh, that's when it's at least 992. And when it's less than that, we'll have a color there by default. Okay. That makes sense then. So we will copy this whole thing as it is. Actually, I'm going to copy them both together. That'll make more sense. And I'm going to put that up here. So here's the main nav, nav bar, nav item, nav link. Let's put it just above that because it's related, but this is the parent and then this is the nav bar within it. So I want maybe my dark brown. Where did I put that on my headings? This color for the type. And if you start to use a color over and over again, you might want to remember it by putting it in your list at the top. Okay. So I was deciding that I want to have that on the main nav, and I'm going to have it there whether it's large or not. So this template, I could do it the same way that it is. It's transparent when it's bigger. When it's over 992 wide, it's bigger, but when it's smaller, I could have a color. So let's, is it still in my, yeah, still in my clipboard. Okay. So now it'll be the brown color when it's smaller, but still transparent. So if I don't want to change that, I can leave that there. But if I did want to change it, I could put that color in here as well. Let's just save and see what that does. Okay, so when it's small, then that triggers. And when it gets larger, oh, it's still there. Did I mess it up then? I think that's because of the order that I did it. So I think typically this is after. Let's see if that changes it. Okay, that did change it. No. That's strange. Kind of messed it all up. Okay. So if it's after, oh, I know I messed it up because it's the app media thing. So when you do an app media declaration, it's kind of different because it's actually nesting what you do inside of a double thing. And sometimes it helps to use your, so command right bracket will indent it so you keep track of what's going on. So this selector, which triggers at that minimum size, opens here and ends here, and then anything in between that is what happens when it's at that size. Oh, no, it's still doing it. So I had intended that to just be, okay, let's try this again with changing the order. Okay, there it's working. And then when it gets smaller, then it goes to the color. So those need to be in that order. And you need to make sure that you, because it's not, this part didn't copy over from the developer tools. Okay, so if you want it on both, here it would be on both the larger and the smaller. So you can also do it so that the color changes on the smaller version, but it kind of makes sense to do the same. So there's smaller version, still works. That's something I did not change the colors, the hover color on the text. I forgot about that. It works in this case. But if I did want to change the hover change, I'd have to make sure to go to my HOV hover. Here we have, so there's active and hover. Select that. And this would be the navbar links. They're white. And we hover over them. They're this color. Let's choose a that light cashew color. Oh, what's the new one I did? Was it on the body? Yeah. I like that color. That's a better color. That's this, right? Yes, it says hover over there. Theirs wasn't white either. Oh, no, that's like way too light. So you need something that's dark enough that you can see it. Okay, so here we are again. So white, I guess I'll leave that white. Just wondering if I actually wanted this. Okay, that's pretty subtle. It's a change, but maybe not enough. Let's so here's my current color. So I'm gonna make it darker. Oops. Because there I can see the difference. It's triggering right now. Yeah. So when you change a color like that, it'd be wise to add that to your list so you can use it again. So you don't have to search for it. Okay, that gave us quite a bit. The backgrounds. I did not change the color of these. So those were specific to those other places. So those H4s. Yeah, so if you want to change the color of these other titles, we already have those when we change the typeface, so those should be in our rules already. What was that one called? Portfolio caption heading. Here it is, portfolio caption heading. And these ones are just the plain, H4 and subheading. Color inherit. So there's this line that's preventing it from what's the alternative to inherit? We have to specifically assign that color again in the timeline H4. Did we do the timeline H4 as its own thing? I don't think we did. Where did that go? I lost it. it's gone. That's weird. So if we want to get that specifically, here's our color. There we go. And then we lost our color on these as well because why is that? Let's turn this off. Why did we lose our color? It's going off the body color. Okay, so there may be times where we need to specifically target a color. So this is the portfolio caption heading. Portfolio caption heading, it doesn't have a color declaration, so I'll add one in. There we go. And when we're in the larger view, it's good. I could get this one as well, those bolds and strongs. Here, same idea. And again, we won't see that until we click in there. There we go. Okay, I feel like we've attacked all the color things. This was still a mystery. I'll have to look at that separately. But it looks like we're in control of the colors. I did not change the muted text color. That's still this gray. We already have a rule for that. Am I using it? I think I did something with a paragraph text primary. The P, we did not. Let's go ahead and do that. It's the muted text paragraph class. Text muted. Here we go. So if we have muted text, let's put that near that paragraph tag. And let's just make that same brown. And I'll leave that important thing on there. There we go. And it's that muted class is used just about everywhere on this template, it looks like. So if you don't want, it didn't do it down here, this is not muted text, that black. So it does make it stand out kind of different. Okay, sorry this recording went double time.